What a week the Open was. And there's been a lot of interest in the swing styles. I'm sure you enjoyed the whole week, and I'm sure you learnt a lot from how the players adapted to that golf course. But a lot was made of the swing styles, and particularly with Dustin Johnson and Morikawa at the top of the leaderboard. A lot was made of the wrist positions, Brooks Koepka too. It's become a big talking point, and it's almost become a swing fundamental. But how does it happen? Is that intentional? Well, I was very lucky a couple of years ago to be on the swing zone, and off camera, Nick Doherty was talking with Dustin Johnson. And Dustin Johnson was hitting some 5-irons, and he got the TrackMan behind him, and he was carrying it 225. And Nick asked Dustin if he could hit a ball with a flat left wrist. And Dustin replied, "Yeah, of course, man, no problem." So he then proceeded to smash these 5-irons, 225, same distance on the TrackMan, with a flat left wrist. And Nick asked him afterwards, everyone was quite surprised I think, and Nick, just as much as everybody else, asked Dustin, why don't you use a flat left wrist? Why do you use a bowed wrist? And his answer was really simple. He just prefers the feel of this. So how does he prefer the feel of this? Well, it's a natural swing style. It's evolved through his career. It's probably as when he first started. If you've seen footage of Dustin Johnson as a junior with his collegiate swing, it was like this. So it's not changed over time. Swing trends change, and I think that's the thing, it's fashions. And when somebody performs particularly well, everybody jumps on the bandwagon, and that is the ultimate way of doing it. That is the swing model. Tiger Woods in the 2000s, now it's Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Morikawa. There's mechanical advantages to all these swings because they're all elite performers. They're all hitting the golf ball phenomenally well. You only have to go to a practice ground on tour and you'll see all the players smash it. They hit it, they've got fantastic ball control, but they've all got very different styles. And there's been a big focus on wrist conditions, but this is just the end of the chain. This is reacting to all the forces that preceded it, and obviously the force of the golf, the inertia of the club, but also the intention. So the intention is at the heart of this too, and then how the body reacts. And that's very much down to sequencing. The body doesn't move as a block, it's not moving in one segment. So therefore we've got a sequence because all these segments are moving in a particular way, in a particular order. And it's that order that encourages this. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at how, if you wanted to explore the bowed left wrist, that's not a problem because it's probably happening in an efficient swing anyway. It's probably happening somewhere in the downswing, and then that left wrist, as a right-handed golfer, that lead wrist, will start to move into extension. Sometimes it's a bit earlier, sometimes it's later, but it's going to move into extension at some point unless they hold it off Tommy Fleetwood style, Morikawa to a degree. But that wrist is going from flexion to extension, and it's doing this as a function of the torso rotation and the way the shoulder and the arm and the wrist are reacting, particularly the scapula too. So there's a lot more components to this movement than just a bowed left wrist. If you attempted just to copy Morikawa and copy that bowed left wrist, it's probably going to end up in a lot of chaos, and you're probably going to lose the feel of your golf swing, because this is a product, this is a function of an efficient sequence. This is not the origin of that sequence. This is not the primary focus, because what's this controlling? It's controlling this. And so what was your intention with the golf club? Because where you want this to go is going to influence how this reacts. So we're going to look at the sequencing. We're going to look at how this bowed left wrist emerges as a product of a sequence. We're going to start off with just a simple pressure exercise, shifting pressure from one leg to another. So you're able to see here, if I just grip it with my left hand and stand on the GRF, I'm not going to twist the disc this time, I'm just going to rock it from side to side. But you'll notice, if I just rock from side to side, look what happens. Just as a function of me shifting pressure quickly to my lead side, the club head trails and I end up with a bowed left wrist. So the speed that you shift the pressure is really important. If my pressure stays back here, I'm going to start going into extension. because I've got to get the club to the ball. So the mechanism now is to extend this left wrist to get the club to the ball, to get some speed. We need torque too. So suddenly now we've got these wrist conditions that appear to be a Koepka, Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson, bowed left wrist. Okay, there's loads of other players that do it. In fact, pretty much all the players are doing it at some point in their swing. They're just not doing it here as much. It's probably starting to go through extension as they hit the golf ball, but they are definitely moving into flexion. And this is a product of a really efficient sequence in the change of direction of your golf swing. And it's very important that we shift that pressure across, because if that pressure stays back, I've got no chance of achieving a position or a pattern like this. It's not really a position, and this is something I would avoid, and that was a Freudian slip, because it's not a position. We are moving through space. The whole body's moving through space, and it's all sequential. So the notion of a position suggests stationary, static, freeze frame, a frame of a golf swing, a P position. It's not really the kind of noise we want in a golf swing. We want this to be a fluid sequence, a fluid pattern in response to this intention. So what shot is going to promote this? Well, we've got the luxury of the green stage too. So what we're going to do, we're going to play off a downhill lie. And this is going to encourage all those tilts, angles with the body, particularly side bend, extension and flexion, coupled with rotation. We're going to start to promote all these moves by adjusting the lie. So if you've got a downhill lie that you can use, this is a real good acid test, because we need to get ball turf contact. And how do we do that? Striking the ball out the centre on a downhill lie. Well, this handle's got to be leading. And how does this handle lead? Well, the hands have got to be in front, which means we've got to have rotated, which means we've got to somehow tap into this sequence to get the ball compressed off that centre of percussion. So this is the acid test. So we've got the downhill lie. A very simple exercise, similar to using the GRF, is to take a step back and a step forward. And that's just going to help you step first, swing, step, swing. And again, step, step. And there's an element of flexion here. Now this lie is encouraging me to maintain more of an upright posture. I'm not tilting, side bending, if you like, as much. Certainly not shifting my hips to side bend. There is side bend, but I'm side bending with rotation, not sliding the hips to side bend and then trying to rotate, but I can't. So now I've got to use my wrists and I lose all that flexion. So we've got to make sure we rotate, side bend, and that allows us to maintain this flexion. So you'll see Dustin Johnson, you'll see these guys with lots of upper body side bend and rotation, which means the wrist doesn't have to do all this work because the upper body's done it for it, okay? So this is an extremely athletic motion. Now this may be a more internalized approach, but it's very much reacting to the environment with a purpose of playing, in this instance here, a low golf shot. So we're using a 7-iron, we're going to hit it low, probably a draw too, and adapt to the slope. So I'm going to have a go now, and we're just going to play a few shots, setting up for this downhill slope, and just allowing the pressure to shift. And you can see, balanced, side bend, not really leaning back here, move down, stabilise with the slope, use my side bend. But I was able to use the side bend because I used extension here. And how did I use extension? I shifted the pressure across to stabilise me to be able to extend, which enabled me to use side bend with the rotation of the torso, which meant this could still trail behind, which meant this would be bowed and looking like this. It's going to extend. I generally tend to go into extension a bit earlier. Some people do, some people don't. That's just a natural release for me. But what we want to do is enhance our awareness so we can adapt our release pattern. What's it feel like to strike a ball like this? What's it feel like to strike a ball like this? We are going to need these at some point. What about a shot under a tree? Probably going to need some of this. What about a shot over a tree? Probably going to need some of this. Probably going to need that in a bunker too. Probably going to need that for a little lob shot. What about running up the green on a links course, pin, back left, 7-iron, put it back, bump it in? Probably going to need a bit more of this. So by exploring and optimizing our sequencing, what we do is we open up potential for a much greater repertoire with our release pattern, which means we can then apply this to many different shots, not just full shots. So guys, give it a go. If you've got a GRFI system, brilliant. If not, there's other exercises you can do just using the step drill, and play around with that movement. Watch the videos on sequencing. I did a video a while ago on Bryson DeChambeau's move and talked about how the body sequences, the kinematic sequence. This is very much linked to this. And this is the end of the chain, and this is how you get the bowed left wrist.